शिकन। ਇਹਦਾ अर्थ होगा मना मैं हाँ कुछ जन्म लड़दा हाँ कोही आ पहाड़ियां तो पुरफितन ओ कौन है रोला रप्पा पाने वाले। लड़ाई की है कारण की है कि ओ बुत परस्तस्त मन बुत शिकन। अज सारी दुनिया एक खुदा परस्ती और एक बुत परस्ती, जो खुदा परस्ती वाले है वो बुत परस्ती वाले दे लहू दे प्यासे हो गए ने। पर असल च गल है कि वह भी किते ना किते उन्होंने भुलेखा है, क्योंकि बुत परस्त वो लैन तो कट गया, फिर रह गया खुदा परस्त। खुदा परस्ती उदों तक मुकम्मल नहीं होंदी जब तक कि खुद परस्ती का त्याग ना करे, यानी अहंकार का त्याग ना करे। कहा गया कि अज़ाज़ील फरिश्ता इस्लाम दे विच आया है, जिन्हें अल्लाह का हुक्म नहीं मन्निया, बहुत इबादत गुजार और आलम सी, उन्होंने दरगाह तो बाहर कढ़िया गया। तो प्यारिओ, जिस वेले सारी दुनिया च खालसे दा राज होना है तो उदों एक ऐदा का ग्रंथ होगा जिन्हों सारी दुनिया नतमस्तक हो जूगी, उन्होंने आपां कहने आ गुरु ग्रंथ साहब। हुण यह जिहियां बहुत सारिया दलीलां हन जो मैं थानू दिंदा, पर मेरा टाइम पूरा हो गया। साडे भाई गुरमेल सिंह जी धालीवाल ने संतां दा हुक्म भेजिया सी, मैं अपने उस हुक्म नूं बजा लिया है। तो जिन्नी गल्लां तुहाडे नाल कीतियां ने मैं उहदे ते अमल भी करदा, मनदा भी हाँ, इत्थे भी ते उत्थे भी मन्नांगा भी। प्यारिओ, साहिब श्री गुरु नानक देव जी महाराज जी की प्रकाश पर्व दियां तुहानूं सारिआं नूं कोटानकोट मुबारकां बधाइयां। वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह।
कि जो गल्लां बहुत ही सत्कारयोग कादरी साहब ने कही, ये मन नाल नहीं समझिया जा सकती। ये तो जिन्हां दा रब नाल अल्लाह नाल प्यार है, सुनती भी उन्हों ही तो समझी भी उन्हों ही होती। कादरी साहब has made a prediction which Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he made the same prediction more than 300 years ago कि राज करेगा खालसा। During the first appearance of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Qadri Sahib has reminded us that the world started saying that Zahir Peer Jagat Gur Baba. The world started saying that Guru Nanak is the spiritual leader of all humanity. Jagat Gur Baba. It was not said by a couple of his companions. It was said by everybody. May that be Hindus, Muslims. Zahir Peer Jagat Guru. They admitted he is the Guru of the humanity. And then Qadri Sahib said that this, because we have this form, we usually shy away to state some things out of the fears that it may become misunderstood. But he has said that all religions gist is in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. which all Sikhs know this, because Guru Granth Sahib is known as Guru of all humanity. That's why so much respect is carried on the heads with those umbrellas and flowers and all that. Mind will question this. Poor mind cannot help it. We don't say this because, and then he said Guru Granth Sahib Ji is the gist of all religions. Because in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, only 6 utterances of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and 6 appearances are there. There are 26 other people who are non-Sikhs. And their hymns are there. That makes it. He said that one day, Qadri Sahib predicted that too. Guru Nanak in his 10th appearance said, Raj Karega. He said that until a Khalsa, the one who has become one with God through meditation, through falling in love with God, until that person becomes the king, peace can never arrive in the world. And he said the same thing. He said, I make this prediction. There are less than 2% Sikhs in India. And India is a democratic country. Prime Minister is chosen by votes. Before Mr. Modi, Prime Minister was Dr. Manmohan Singh, a Sikh. He did not become a Prime Minister that people voted for him. No. He was not in the race even for MPs. People requested him to take this responsibility. This is what he is talking. Dr. Manmohan Singh did not contest any election. He was requested that please take this responsibility. And he was Prime Minister for 10 years. That's the maximum tenure you can have according to Indian Constitution. And during those 10 years, that was the most peaceful period in Indian history. So these are facts. And he said that a day will come when the whole humanity will bow before Guru Granth Sahib Ji, because it carries the gist of all paths. And we are so grateful to you. Only a real saint can say this. Only a real saint can have the courage to say this. ਦਿਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਜਦਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਸਾਂ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ। ਅੱਲਾਹ ਤਾਲਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਲੰਮੀਆਂ ਉਮਰਾਂ ਕਰੇ ਤੇ ਤਾਕਤ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ ਸੱਚ ਕਹਿਣ ਦੀ। Mind will never accept it, because what does the mind know? Only until through meditation we become humble enough, receptive enough, only then we can absorb the truth. These are difficult things to say when you are in this attire, lest people are going to misunderstand you. But the truth, he's crying out of love for God. This is Ishq. This is a Sufi saint.
जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सूफी संत गुलाम हैदर कादरी जी का, जिहड़ी अपनी पवित्र चरण धूड़ी लैके सानू इत्थे नवाजण आए हैं ते अपने पास कादिया तो अहमदिया जमात मुस्लिम जमात के सज्जन भी सारे इत्थे पहुँचे हैं। सारे बहुत ही प्यार ते सत्कार नाल जी आयां नूं अते बेनती करते हैं जी ज्ञानी तनवीर अहमद खादम जी नूं कि वो स्टेज ते आउण अते अपने विचार संगत नाल साझे करन जी। ज्ञानी तनवीर अहमद खादम जी, वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की।
बिसर गई सब तात पराई, जब ते साध संगत मोह पाई। बिसर गई सब तात पराई, जब ते साध संगत मोह पाई। ना को बैरी नहीं बेगाना, सगल संग हमको बनाई। जो प्रभ कीनो सो पल मान्यो, ऐसो मत साधु ते पाई। सब में रव रहा प्रभ एक, पेख पेख नानक बिगसाई। गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी की हजूरी विच विराजमान साध संगत जीओ, संत बाबा गुरदेव सिंह जी, कादरी साहिब ਅਤੇ स्टेज ते या पंडाल विच बैठे हुए मेरे बुजुर्गों, भराओ, भैनों ते बहुत ही प्यारे बच्चों, आज बड़ा ही खुशियां का दिन है और बहुत ही मुबारक दिन है कि असी इत्थे साहिब दे दरबार विच सच्चे पातशाह श्री गुरु नानक देव जी महाराज दे 553वां गुरपुरब मनाने वास्ते इकट्ठे होए हैं। ਗੁਰਪੁਰਬ ਹਰ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਮਨਾਏ ਗਏ, ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਇਕੱਠੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ, ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਮਨਾਈਆਂ। ਕੁਛ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਥਾਵਾਚਕ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਰੱਖੀਆਂ, ਕੁਝ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਰੱਖੇ ਗਏ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਕੁਰਬਾਨ ਜਾਈਏ ਸਤ ਬਾਬਾ ਗੁਰਦੇਵ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ 'ਤੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਗੁਰਪੁਰਬ ਨਵੇਕਲਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇਨਸਾਨ ਆਪਣੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਮਨਾਉਂਦਾ, ਆਪ ਹੀ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਮਨਾ ਲਈਏ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਮਨਾਈਆਂ। ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਸ਼ਾਮਿਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਫਿਰ ਹਕੀਕੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਂਝੀਵਾਲਤਾ ਦਾ ਸੰਦੇਸ਼ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਏ। ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਜਿਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਹਜ਼ੂਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਂਝੀਵਾਲਤਾ ਦਾ ਸੰਦੇਸ਼ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਪੁਰਬ ਮਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਂਝੀਵਾਲਤਾ ਦਾ ਸੰਦੇਸ਼ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ। ਪਹਿਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਮਲੀ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ अपने एक पासे एक हिंदू बाला पाई बाला बिठा लिया, एक पासे एक मुसलमान मर्दाना बिठा लिया, और क्या कि लोगों ने एक संदेश दिता कि देखो असीं सारे आपस भरा, ज़बानी गल्लां नहीं कीतियां, अमली तौर पर उसदा सबूत पेश किया, और जदों तक और सारी जिंदगी उन्होंने अपने नाल रखा, या जदों तक उन्हों का जीवन सी भाई बाला जी का या मरदाना जी, बाला जी तो जिंदगी जी फौत हो गए सी। तो इस वास्ते अज का दिन बहुत मुबारकबाद का दिन मुस्तहिक है, तुसी सारे मुबारकबाद के मुस्तहिक हो, बहुत ही मुबारक दिन है। ये कोई अतकथनी नहीं, कोई कहे कि शायद मैं बैठ खलो के इत्थे बड़ा मुबालगा कर रहे हैं, नहीं। साझीवालता का दिन मनाया जा रहा है, गुरपुरब मनाया जा रहा है, और साझीवालता के नां ते एक नूर के नां ते लोगों को जमा किया जा रहा है। एक बहुत बड़ा शलाघायोग काम है। आज दुनिया के विच लड़ाउण वाले, वखवाद पाउण वाले, नफरतां फैलाउण वाले, वट टोक करने वाले तुहानूं बेशुमार मिलणगे, लेकिन बहुत ही घट लोग ऐसे नेक लोग हैं, संधी जैसे, जो है जो नेक काम कर रहे हैं कि एक नूर के नां ते सारे इकट्ठा किया जाए, सारे दस्या जाए कि तुम सारे एक दे ही बच्चे हो, एक पिता एकस की हम बारिक, तो मेरा गुरु है। हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का भी यही फरमान है कि अल खल्को अयालुल्लाह फ़अहब्बुल खल्क़ इलल्लाह तआला मन अहसन इला अयालिही। ऐ लोगों, ये सारी मखलूक अल्लाह ताला दा कुंबा है, खानदान हन, बच्चे हन, और परमात्मा ने वो प्यारा नहीं कि जिहड़ा सिर्फ नमाजें पढ़ता रहे, रोजे रखता रहे, हज रखता रहे, करता रहे, बल्कि परमात्मा ने वो प्यारा है, अल्लाह ने वो प्यारा है जिहड़ा अपनी मखलूक नाल, अपने बच्चे नाल चंगा सलूक करता है, उस दे बच्चे नाल चंगा सलूक करता है। इस वास्ते साझीवालता का संदेश दिता गया। आज बड़ियां नफरतां ने मेरे भराओ संसार दे विच, किते धर्मां दे झगड़े ने, किते जात पात दे झगड़े ने, किते रंगो नस्ल दे गोरे ते काले दे झगड़े ने, किते धर्म मुल्कां दे झगड़े ने, किते होर बहुत सारे वख-वख किस्म के झगड़े दुनिया च फैले हुए ने। और इस तरह मालूम होता है जिस तरह के हजरत इंसान खून न लथपथ पिया है, खून की होली खेडी जा रही है। देखो कितना चिर हो गया यूक्रेन ते रशिया की जंग लगी हुई है, उस तो पहला कितना चिर जड़ा पाकिस्तान इराक ते होर मुल्कां दी जंग लगी रही, ईरान इराक दी जंग लगी रही, इंडिया ते पाकिस्तान दी 3 जंगां हो गई जे कारगिल दी जंग नूं रला लिया जाए। फिर 2 वड्डियां जंगां हो गई, तुसीं गिणती कर लो, लाशां दे अंबार लग जाते हैं। किहदी लाशां दे? इंसान दी लाशां दे। हिंदू सिख ईसाई दी लाश दे नहीं, इंसान दी लाशां दे। और मारन वाले कौन? इंसान। मारन वाले कौन? इंसान। इस कदर मैनू तो बाज़ दफ़ा वो सूरदास जी महाराज दे कथन याद आते हैं। वो कहते हैं कि बड़ी एक तो एक 2 की तरह गल्लां पूरियां हो रही ने। अरे मन धीरज क्यों ना धरे, मेघनाथ रावण का बेटा 100 पुरा जन्म धरे। पूरब पश्चिम उत्तर दक्षिण चतुर्दिश काल पड़े, घोर युद्ध जग माही व्यापे प्रजा बहुत मरे। दुष्ट दुष्ट को ऐसा काटे जैसे कीट मरे। एक बंदा दूसरे बंदे को इस तरह मारेगा जिस तरह कीड़े ते मकोड़े को मसलता जाता है। दुष्ट दुष्ट को ऐसा काटे जैसे कीट मरे, 1,900 से ऊपर ऐसा योग पड़े। 1900 साल बिक्रमी तो बाद ये समा आ जाना। और देख लो सारिया जंगां उस तो बाद ही हुई ने। सूरदास ये हर की लीला टारे ने। वो कहते सो ये हर की लीला है, परमात्मा की बाणी है, टलना टलनी नहीं हैगी, हो के रहनी है। इस्लाम विच भी इन्हां गल्लां दा वर्णन किया गया है। मैं विस्तार के डर नाल समय के कमी के वजह नाल उस पासे जाना नहीं चाहता। ये सारा नक्शा खोल खोल के दसिया गया हदीसां विच कि इहो जिहे हालात होणगे, इहो जिहे हालात होणगे, इहो जिहे हालात होणगे। तो मेरे भराओ, इहो जिहे अंधकार के दौर दे विच जे कोई चाना ला के बहंदा है, जो कोई रोशन का मीनार रोशन करता है, तो बहुत ही मुबारकबाद का मुस्तहिक है। इसे वास्ते मैं कहा सी कि कोई अतकथनी नहीं हैगी, कोई मुबालगा नहीं है ये कि असीं कहिए कि बहुत मुबारक काम है, बहुत मुबारक काम है। साढ़े अपने हिंदुस्तान के हालात वेख लो की बने हुए ने। किथे असीं दूसरी दुनिया में छड्डीए, इत्थे देख लो किन्नियां नफरतां ने। इंसान नूं कीड़े ते मकोड़े वांग मसलिया जा रहा है। गुरबाणी च ये हुंदा क्यों? इंसान की बुद्धि भ्रिष्ट हो जाती है, इंसान की अकल नहीं रहिंदी कि वह सोच समझ ना काम लगे, शब्द ते कोई विचार करे। गुरबाणी च झगड़ा करदियां अंधन गुजरे, शब्द ना करे विचार। सुध मत करते हर लही, बोलन सब विकार। झगड़ा करते करते इंसान दे हालत यह हो जाती है कि सुध मत करते हर लई। ओदी अकल मत रब खुश लैंदा फिर ऐसे झगड़ालू लोगों की। हुण देख लो, वो झगड़ा करने वाले भी, लोगों को कतल करने वाले भी, लोगों को मसलन वाले भी, लोगों को कुचलन वाले भी, वो जकारा ला के या नारे ला के कहते हैं असीं बड़ा चंगा काम किया। गुरबाणी कहते सुध मत करते हर लई, बोलन सब विकार। वो सब ऊट पटांग बकते रहते हैं। शब्द ना करे विचार, सुध मत करते हर लई, बोलन सब विकार। झगड़ा करते हैं अंधन गुजरे, शब्द ना करे विचार। ये नतीजा पैदा क्यों होता है? इस वास्ते यह नतीजा पैदा होता है कि शब्द के उत्ते विचार नहीं होता। शब्द नूं दूरों ही असीं मत्था टेक के चले जाते हैं। बैठ के पढ़न की, उन्होंने वाचन की, उन्होंने पाठ करन की सानू तौफीक नहीं मिलती, या इहो जिहे संतां दे वचन सुनने का सानू मौका नहीं मिलता। असीं समझने हैं कि यह तो वेले लोगों का काम है, ये तो बुढ़िया का काम है। नौजवान संगत तुसीं देख लो अज भी इत्थे घट है। तो जो ये चीज़ पैदा हो जाती है तो शब्द ना करे विचार। जदों इंसान शब्द ते विचार नहीं करता, सुध मत करते हर लई, बोलन सब विकार। फिर परमात्मा इहो जिहे लोगों की रब अकल खुश लैंदा है, पर सब ऊट पटांग बक बक करते रहते हैं। मेरे भराओ, बाज़ दफ़ा तुसी टीवी ते अखबारां दे विच बयान पढ़ते हो, सुनते हो, बड़े बड़े पढ़े लिखे लोग होंदे ने, सियासी लीडर भी, दूसरे भी। ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਯਾਰ ਇੰਨਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਬੰਦਾ ਐਸੀ ਜਾਹਿਲਾਨਾ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਚਲਾ ਗਿਆ। ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ਾ ਲਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਬੰਦਾ ਇੰਨੀ ਜਾਹਿਲਾਨਾ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਚਲਾ ਗਿਆ। ਦੁਨੀਆਵੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਨਾਲ ਸੂਝ ਬੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ, ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਸਬਕ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਹਬਤ ਆ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਬਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਬਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਸੀ? ਉਹ परमात्मा ਦਾ ਨੂਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਤਰਿਆ ਸੀ। ਜੈਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਆਵੀ ਖਸਮ ਕੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਤੈਸੜਾ ਕਰੀ ਗਿਆਨ ਵੇ ਲਾ ਲੋ। मैं अपने वालों कोई गल नहीं कहता, जिस तरह मेरे साहिब मेरे परमात्मा मैनू खसम मेरा खसम मेरे ते बाणी उतारता है, मैं उस तरह लोगों को ग्याल करना है। यही गल कुरान मजीद च लिखी गई है, इन्नमा अना बशरुम मिसलुकुम यूहा इलैया। ऐ लोगों मैं तो तुहानू कोई गल कहंदा ही नहीं, मेरे ते तुहाडे च अंतर सिर्फ यही है कि जो बाणी मेरे ते उतरदी मैं तुहानू दसना। अन्नमा इलाहुकुम इलाहुम वाहिद। ये बाणी की कहंदी है? तुहाडा पैदा करने वाला एक मालिक है भाई, एक नूर ते सारा। मैं कहना साडे सिख कौम ते बड़ी खुशकिस्मत है ते गल ही एक ते कीती गई, उन्होंने दूसरी गल करनी नहीं चाहिए। एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभौर निर्वैर, हुणे बाबा जी पढ़ के निरभौर निर्वैर अकाल मूरत जोनी सह अंगुर प्रसाद सच आस सच जुगास सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच। एक तो गल शुरू की गई, एक तो जो एक हाँ एक पिता एकस की हम बारक हाँ तो फिर किस तरह साढ़े असी जो साढ़े ओदे बच्चे हाँ तो किस तरह असी साढ़े फर्क हो सकता है, किस तरह नफरतां पैदा हो सकदियां हैं। ये नहीं किया कि सिख सिर्फ ओदे बच्चे ने, ये नहीं किया कि मुसलमान सिर्फ ओदे बच्चे ने। हज़रत मोहम्मद साहब ने जिथे क्या कि अल खल्को अयालुल्लाह, उथे ये नहीं किया कि अल मुस्लिम हो अयालुल्लाह के मुसलमान अल्लाह के बच्चे हैं। फरमाया सारी मखलूक अल्लाह के बच्चे हैं, जिन्हें भी धर्म हो जात पात के लोग हो जिन्नी भी मखलूक है ये सारे अल्लाह के अयाल के बच्चे ने। परमात्मा ने वही प्यारे है जिहड़ा उसके बच्चों नाल चंगा सलूक करता है। इस वास्ते मैं तो कहना बहुत मुबारक काम है। गुरबाणी का असूल है साढ़े असीं दस्या गया, सांझ करीजे गुनाह केरी छोड़ अवगुण चलीए। आओ असी सारे रल के चंगियां गल्लां सांझ कर लईए, इकट्ठे हो जाइए, चंगियां गल्लां इकट्ठे होकर मनाइए। हुण बाबा जी ने इत्थे कोई सत्संग लाया ना, गुरबाणी का विचार हो रहा, शब्द पढ़े जा रहे हैं, चंगियां गल्लां ने ना। बाबा जी किस फिरके तो ताल्लुक रखते हैं, किस समाज तो ताल्लुक, इस गल्लां नूं सोचना नहीं चाहिए। जिथे भी चंगी गल होवे उन्होंने लै लो। हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कलिमतुल हिकमत ज़ालतुल मोमिन अखज़ा है सो वजदा। जिहड़ी हिकमत की गल है, दानाई की गल है, चंगी गल है, वो एक गुरमुख नूं एक मोमन नूं अपनी गुआची चीज़ वांग समझना चाहिए। उसनूं जिथों मिले उथों लै ले। इत्थे हुण सच्ची गल की जा रही है तो कोई मुसलमान आके बेवकूफ़ कहे कि नहीं ये तो सिख दस रहे इस वास्ते मैं नहीं लैनी, वो तो जाहिल है। हज़रत मोहम्मद साहब फरमाते हैं जिथों भी चंगी गल मिले उन्होंने अपनी गुआची चीज़ की तरह समझ लो। जिस तरह किसी को गुआची चीज़ मिल जाए फौरन लै लैंदा, उस तरह लै लो। इस वास्ते मैं बहुत ही समय का ख्याल रखते हुए अपने भरावां नूं इस मौके पर मुबारकबाद पेश करना हाँ। और मैं इस गल ते उन्होंने बधाई भी देना कि एक नाल जुड़े हुए ने, एक ओंकार सतनाम का संदेश मिलिया शुरू ची, गो के कुरान मजीद में भी बार बार एक साहिब गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब साढ़े अपना कुरान मजीद जो है कुल हो अल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहु समद लम यलिद वलम यूलद, कह दे अल्लाह एक है, वो दो या तीन या चार नहीं। साहिब मेरा एको है भाई एको है, एक बाजो दूजा को नहीं कस आगे करे पुकारा। मेरा साहिब एक है, एक पिता एक की हम बारिक। सो मैं इन अखरां नाल फिर एक मरतबा बाबा जी नूं संत जी नूं मुबारकबाद पेश करना। उन्हां दे माध्यम नाल तुहानूं सारिਆਂ ਨੂੰ बहुत मुबारक होवे दिन साढ़े वास्ते सारिਆਂ वास्ते। खुदा खुदा करे कि जो मंतव ते मकसद लैके संत जी टुरे होए ने ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਜ਼ੀਮੁ ਸ਼ਾਨ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਹਾਸਲ ਹੋਵੇ कि दुनिया दे विच हकीकी अमन ते शांति पैदा हो जाए, हकीकी अमन ते शांति कायम हो जाए। और यही हर इंसान चाहता है कि दुनिया च हकीकी अमन ते शांति कायम हो जाए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जे कोई गलती हो गई होए तो मैं खिमा का जाचक हाँ। जिस तरह कि तुम सुन चुके हो कादियाँ तो मैं आया हाँ और मेरे नाल और भी काफ़ी दोस्त आए हुए ने। उन्होंने सारे वालों भी आप सब नूं मैं दिल की गहराइयां तो मुबारकबाद पेश करना हाँ और इसे चंद मिनट देने वास्ते मुबारक शुक्रिया अदा करना। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत भावक हो के खादम साहब ने बचन कीते। ते गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी का संदेश आपां नूं दिता जो कि सारी मनुखता नूं है सांझीवालता। एक so emotionally Khadim Sahib has quoted Guru Granth Sahib ji. He says that Sikhs are so blessed that they talk about only one. Guru Nanak says, it's just one, this all is Him. And when we say this all is Him, when the person who is standing next to us, we say, you are God, is there any chance of any fight or war? Until we recognize this truth, peace cannot happen. He said, you are so blessed. He talks only about one. There is nothing else. He does not. That's why he doesn't recognize Hindus, Sikhs, Christians. He said, you are God. Don't make yourself poor. You are not this 5-6 feet tall and foot and half wide. You are as infinite as God. And it is so kind. Only great people. We can also see the beauty of in their talk. We can see the beauty of Muhammad Sahib, because Muhammad Sahib's people have the courage to say that. ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੋਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤੀ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਦੌਲਤ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਹਸਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਆਪ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਹੁਸੈਨ ਹੋਣ। We can clearly see the beauty of Muhammad, and we bow to you. So beautiful. Patti Sahib is in Kashmir because there's their program of the India Jamaat. He called here last night and talked to me. He said he congratulations. So Khadim Sahib also said that is congratulations to the whole world. we become again and again, we come back in the same. No, that's why Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he talks about one, and in that everything is included. Everything is included. And he loves all religions. He says, Musalman kahaman mushkil, Musalman mom dil. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says it's very difficult to be a Muslim. Don't think that anybody can become Muslim. It's very difficult to be a Muslim because Muslims are tender-hearted. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. बहुत शुक्राना.
बहुत ही ਸਤਿਕਾਰਯੋਗ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਅੱਜ ਪਹੁੰਚੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜੀ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੁਬਾਰਕ ਮੁਖ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਰੱਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਅੱਲਾ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ। ਸੋ ਹੁਣ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਸਤਿਕਾਰਯੋਗ सिकंदर लाल जैन एडवोकेट साहब, चीफ एडवाइज़र आत्मानंद जैन महासभा नॉर्दर्न इंडिया, कि वो अपने कीमती विचार सारी संगत नाल सांझे करन जी।
दरबार श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी की हजूरी में यहाँ पर उपस्थित संतजन, ज्ञानीजन और पवित्र आत्मा, जीवन में कब अवसर आ जाए कि आपकी आत्मा पवित्र हो जाए और आपको संतों का शरणा मिल जाए, ये सौभाग्यशाली क्षण कब आने हैं आपके भाग्य के ऊपर है। आज परम सौभाग्य का दिन है कि परमात्मा गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब और खुदा की जी हजूरी में हमारे वंदनीय बाबा जी ने एक बहुत सुंदर समागम बनाया जिसे विश्व में इंसानियत के लिए परम आवश्यकता है। सर्वधर्म सांझी वार्ता सम्मेलन इंसानियत के लिए संदेशवाहक है कि धर्म हमें सद्भावना, प्यार, समर्पण और अपनी कर्तव्य निष्ठा के लिए प्रेरणा देता है। बद्धू सहाय धम्मो, ये जैन शास्त्रों में वर्णन आता है, जिसका अर्थ है वस्तु का अपने स्वरूप में रहना ही धर्म है। और इंसान की आत्मा का धर्म है कि चेतना धारण करते हुए अपनी मर्यादा में रहकर अपनी आत्मा का उत्थान करना। और यही बात खुदा ने भी फरमाई, और यही बात गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी ने भी फरमाई, और यही बात बाइबल ने भी फरमाई, और यही बात सभी धर्मों ने, जितने भी विभिन्न हमारे भारत में धर्म प्रचलित हैं, उन्होंने बतलाई। और इसी प्रारूप में आज एक जो आयोजन बाबा जी ने किया है, मैं इसे तीर्थ के रूप में लेता हूँ, क्योंकि महापुरुष और परमात्मा जब सबको संदेश देने के लिए प्रवचन देते हैं तो वो सबसे पहले बोलते हैं नमो तीर्थस, कि मैं तीर्थों को नमस्कार करता हूँ। तो आज सबसे पहले हम जिन्होंने तीर्थ की आज रचना की है, हम बाबा जी को नमस्कार करते हैं। और आज आवश्यकता है इस बात को जानने की कि हमें जो जन्म मिला है इंसान के रूप में, बड़े पुण्य उदय से मिलता। न जाने कितने लाखों करोड़ों हम अच्छे कर्म करते हैं, तब हमें इंसानियत का चोला मिलता है। अन्यथा हम पंचेंद्रिय जीव हैं, चौइंद्रिय, त्रिइंद्रिय, दो इंद्रिय, एक इंद्रिय, विभिन्न प्रकार की जो आत्माओं में रहने वाले हमें जीवात्माएं मिलती हैं। और यही एक ऐसा साधन है जिससे हम तिर सकते हैं, अपने आप को परमात्मा के चरणों में कह दूं, या परमात्मा के सम कह दूं, या अपनी मुक्ति धारण करने का हमें साधन मिल सकता है। और उसका आधार एक ही है कि हम ऐसे कर्म करें जिससे हमारी आत्मा पवित्र जो है, क्योंकि आत्मा तो सभी धर्म कहते हैं अजर अमर है, लेकिन हमारे कर्म जो हैं हमें इंसानियत के रूप में या अन्य गतियों के रूप में घुमाती रहती है। अगर हम अच्छे कर्म अर्जित करके अपनी आत्मा का कल्याण कर लेंगे तो हम निश्चित रूप में उस महापुरुष के चरणों में जा विराजेंगे। यही बात जो है धर्म हमें सिखलाता है। और इसके लिए 3 बातें इंसान को लेनी चाहिए, जिसे कहते हैं सम्यक ज्ञान, सम्यक दर्शन और सम्यक चरित्र। कि हमें ऐसा ज्ञान मिले, हमें ऐसा दर्शन मिले, प्रारूप मिले, और हमें ऐसा चरित्र मिले ताकि हम अच्छे कर्म करके अपनी आत्मा का कल्याण कर सके। तो यही धर्म का असली रूप है, धर्म हमें सिखलाता है। रास्ते विभिन्न हैं, कोई जैन धर्म के माध्यम से, कोई सिख धर्म के माध्यम से, कोई मुस्लिम के माध्यम से, कोई ईसाई के माध्यम से, विभिन्न रास्तों पे चलकर हम धर्म पर चलते हुए अपना कल्याण कर सकते हैं। तो आज इस आयोजन में जो एक उद्देश्य बाबा जी ने धारण करके सबको एकत्रित किया है। अगर आज विश्व में शांति हो सकती है, इसी एकता से, इसी सम से, इसी भाव से, इसी धारणा से ही हो सकती है। उपद्रव तो बहुत फैल रहा है, वर्णन भी हुआ, युद्ध हो रहे हैं, आपस में लड़ाइयाँ हो रही हैं, हमारे आज्ञावान भी लड़ रहे हैं, राजनीतिज्ञ भी लड़ रहे हैं। लेकिन अगर हम इंसानियत को समझकर इंसानियत के रूप में सब एकता के सूत्र में बन जाए, सब संगठन के सूत्र में बन जाए और सब संत पुरुषों के चरणों में आकर उनके दर्शन से प्राप्त करके उनसे सीख लेकर अपने आप को पवित्र कर ले, तो निश्चित रूप में विश्व में शांति और सबका कल्याण जो है तभी संभव है। तो इसी उद्देश्य को धारण करके एक जो आज का माध्यम हमारे आदरणीय बाबा श्री जी ने किया है, मैं तो इनको संत और महापुरुष की उपाधि से संबोधित भी करूंगा और शत शत इनको प्रणाम भी दूंगा कि अगर आप जैसे और कुछ संत सारे भारत में, सारे विश्व में इस धारणा को लेकर कि हम सबको एकता के सूत्र में बंधकर, संगठन में बंधकर इंसान के रूप में हम सब मिलकर चलेंगे, शांति भी प्राप्त होगी, हमारी आत्मा भी पवित्र होगी और हम अपनी आत्मा का कल्याण भी कर सकेंगे। इन्हीं भावनाओं के साथ मैं बहुत ज्ञानी तो नहीं हूँ, बहुत जानता तो नहीं हूँ, लेकिन एक ही बात मानता हूँ कि आज आवश्यकता है ऐसे धर्मों पर चलने की जो प्रकाश, जो वाणी कई बार हम लोग कहते हैं, बोल देते हैं जी राज करेगा खालसा आकी रहना कोई, वो बात खालसा की जो है वो खालस के रूप में है। खालसा के रूप में ये नहीं है कि मैं केशधारी सिख हूँ, राज मेरा होगा। खालसा मीन जो पवित्र आत्मा है, जो शुद्ध आत्मा है, राज उसका ही अंततः चलेगा। यही गुरुवाणी ने भी सिखाया, यही जैन आगमों ने भी सिखाया, यही हमें कुरान में भी सिखाया और यही बाइबल ने सिखाया है। आवश्यकता है उसको असली रूप में लेकर धारण करने की और उसी पर चलने की। इन्हीं भावनाओं के साथ समय को देखते हुए जितना समय मिला है उस रूप में मैं एक बार फिर अपने आप को पवित्र मानता हूँ। मेरे को गुरु का शरणा मिला और आपका शरणा मिला और आज जो पवित्र आत्माएं सारे विश्व में यहाँ पर बैठी हैं उनके दर्शनों का सौभाग्य मिला। आप सबको बहुत बहुत सत्कार और मान देते हुए अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ और यही कहूँगा, हम सत्य धर्म पर चलें, सत्य के रास्ते पर चलें और आत्मा के धर्म पर चलें और आत्मा को पवित्र बनाने के लिए उसी पथ को अपनाएं और इनका शरणा लेकर, ऐसे महापुरुषों का शरणा लेकर हम विश्व का कल्याण करने के लिए एक साधन बने, एक प्रेरणा ले और एक रास्ता प्रशस्त करें। इन्हीं भावों के साथ मैं अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई भी देता हूँ और हम सब यहाँ पर आकर पवित्र हुए। इन्हीं भावनाओं के साथ यही बोलूँगा, वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह।
The Granth Sahib ਦੇ ਦਿਲ ਚੋਂ ਨਿਕਲੇ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਕੀਮਤੀ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸੁਮੀਤ ਜੈਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੀ Jainism, like the real people, religion means the spirituality. Those who are really religious people, they have the same fragrances. And he clarified, he said that it is going to happen that Raj Karega Khalsa, the Khalsa will rule one day. But he said, don't be mistaken that Khalsa is with this outer attire or outer. Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about Khalas, the one who has become not pure only, but holy. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that until holy people rule the world, there cannot be peace, and it's God's will that there should be peace amongst my family. So we are moving to the time when the holy people will rule. We are so happy, Granth Sahib. And he said that, so beautiful, he said that I feel, he said you, Granth Sahib कुछ भी नहीं, आप जानते नहीं हम कुछ भी नहीं है, हम तो इन सब की चरण धूली लेने के लिए उसने तरस किया है, रहम किया है. तो this idea, actually, it is my children from the West, Richard and company, were so beautiful and who inspired me to start this, that they are so beautiful flowers. And Granth Sahib said that I feel here amongst you, I feel I'm at a holy place and I have taken bath in the holy place. How beautiful. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. जी हुन our parts and our beauty, our pride, this Western Sangat, they are going to say a few words about oneness, about 20 years ago. Queen Elizabeth came to the Golden Temple. And about 100 years ago, Sant Baba Maharnam Singh Ji Puchowale. He said that this current Queen of England did meditation with me for many lifetimes, and as a fruit of that meditation, God has made the Queen of England. This was a saint from Punjab, about a couple hours from here. That saint was a very high saint, and he said that Queen Elizabeth and I, it doesn't mean that if she had female attire in this life, she could be male, had male attire. He said that Queen Elizabeth and I, with others, did meditation, so much meditation that her desire was to become the king or queen, and God made her the queen. And 20 years ago she flew from London and landed in Amritsar Sahib, came to the Golden Temple, bowed before Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and went back to England. And there's a beautiful temple in Amritsar called Durgyana Mandir. And people from Durgyana Mandir requested the Queen that please pay us the visit at our temple. That's a very big temple. And she said, I came just to give thanks to Guru Granth. And Golden Temple has 4 doors, one in each direction, welcoming humanity from all directions. That is humanity's common place, as Guru Granth Sahib Ji is humanity's common Guru. And so these beautiful souls have travelled here to grace us with their presence and beautiful insights. Now the stage is theirs. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਂ ਕਿ ਬਾਬਾ ਮਾਰਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਚਨ ਕੀਤੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਕੁਈਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਜਨਮ ਬੰਦਗੀ करते रहे। तो 20 साल हुए हरमंदिर साहब लंदन तो हलाई करके सीधी अमृतसर साहब आई तो हरमंदिर साहब मत्था टेक के वापस चले। ये साइन क्योंकि गोल्डन टेम्पल is Golden Temple. Golden Temple is Golden Temple. It belongs to the whole humanity. Nobody can claim it belongs to this religion. No, he doesn't belong to any religion. Okay, now the stage is yours.
Waheguru.
I have travelled recently from my home in England to come to this place. And I'm very aware of the irony of an Englishman coming to India to talk about spirituality. I was asked to talk about oneness. And I think one perspective of oneness is that mankind, through all the years, has asked the question, what is God? So I thought I'd take you to ancient Greece and introduce you to a man called Plato. He lived 2,400 years ago, and he founded the first school of higher education in Europe. It is said that a teacher should tell you where to look, but not what to see. So I'm just going to tell you a story, and let's see what you see within that story. Plato was a student of a man called Socrates, who claimed that his greatest wisdom was that he knew nothing at all. And Plato was asked one day, what is it like to know God? And Plato was quiet. And he responded like this: imagine that there was a village, that soldiers came and raided, and many slaves were taken. And those slaves were taken far from their land and taken down into a deep, deep cave, where they were chained on benches so that they could only see the wall at the back of the cave. And these soldiers then built a big fire behind the slaves. And in front of the fire, they put shadow puppets, moving so that they could be seen on the back wall of the cave. And Plato said, imagine that you are sat on that bench for many, many years, and the only thing that you could see were these moving shadows. And would your life not be totally focused and engrossed in the shadows on the back wall? And then Plato said, one of these slaves, she broke free of her chains, and she slipped past the soldiers, and she escaped the cave. And after years of seeing the shadows on the back of the wall, imagine how she felt when she saw the sun, the warmth of the sun on her face, and she saw the trees rustling in the breeze. She saw the people ploughing the fields and living in their villages. And she went and explored. Her heart was so open. As she saw the sky with the stars and the moon and the ocean and the ships upon the ocean. And she was so full of joy, so full of wonder. Look at all of this magic for her. And she decided, I'm going to take this story back to my people. And she took the story of the stars and the moon, and of the sun and the fields and the sea, and she snuck back into her cave, got past the guards, and resumed her seat on the bench, and started to tell her people about what she'd seen. And of course, they would not believe her. Such wonders were too far away from them. All they had was the firelight and the shadows on the wall. That, said Plato, is what it's like to know God. Now I come from a place where the 5 thieves do not hide ready to pounce, but walk boldly down the street where they are honored. But fortunately for us all, we do not have slaves now, perhaps. And we do not get tied to a screen ever. I have spoken. Waheguru. Miguel?
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह Pur Mubarak. Thank you, Babaji. Thank you, Sangat. It's a joy and an honor to be here again, finally, with all of you. In the spirit of unity, I wanted to bring forth 3 different traditions that I've known something about and that have touched my heart. And one of them is a prophet that few people know about, and his name is Black Elk from the Lakota Sioux peoples of North America. And as many of you know, the Native Americans were very much destroyed and pillaged by colonial white powers taking over their land and their freedom and their spirituality as well in many different ways. So in the 1800s, this holy man of the Lakotas, he was 9 years old when he actually had some visions even before. But he had this dream where he was taken by a grandfather into the world of the spirit, where he saw the 4 directions, which they represent, of course, as the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. And they also represent different wisdoms and ages of humanity, as a child, as a mature man, as an elder, and as death or birth. And in this place, from each of the directions came the ancestors, and the ancestors were bearing gifts. And there were different gifts. Some was a flowering stick, and another was a peace pipe on the back of a spotted eagle. And like that, there were 4 different gifts. And he saw that his people would have to go through 4 different ascents, through different stages as well. And in one of them, of course, they're living happily, but then people start walking the destructive path and destroying everything in their midst. And so the next stage is a very terrifying stage of much suffering. And he was giving these gifts by his grandfathers from the four directions to help bring his people through this hard time into what would be the new time, which I would like to briefly read from the screen, this description of his vision. 4 virgins enter carrying some of the symbolic objects the black elk has been given by the grandfathers. They dance and the horses dance. He looks down upon his people and the earth is restored and they are happy once again. Still on his horse, he sees the whole world as one. The hoops of many nations united in one hoop, with one mighty tree sheltering everyone as the children of one father and one mother. He saw that he was holy. So as as a humanity, I think we can all very well relate to this period of turmoil, because we are living through some very unique times, and certainly as many believe God is one, or we all come from one source, the earth also is one, and the earth is certainly suffering. And I think in many ways it will be this that will, because it will become a matter of, it is already a matter of survival, humanity will have to become one to take care of our one common home and honor our one common supreme source to come through this time of turmoil. There is another story, a short one in this case. It comes from Prophet Abraham, who is the ancestor of the 3 Abrahamic religions, the Muslims, the Jews, and the Christians. And there's this story that after God visited him and asked him to circumcise himself, which is sort of the Jewish equivalent of taking Amrit, I guess, in some ways. But basically it means getting rid of your egoistic part of oneself, and transforming one's nature from the desire to receive for oneself alone into the desire to receive in order to share. So after this had happened, he was obviously in much pain and feeling very impaired when he was standing at the door of his tent in the desert, and at a very far distance he saw 3 men walking towards the settlement. So he got very busy, in spite of his impaired condition, to prepare a feast for the 3 men. And he really went all out to give his best. And when they arrived at the foot of the tent, he bowed before them, not knowing who they were. And welcoming them into the tent, it was finally revealed to him that, in fact, one was God and 2 angels with him, who foretold him of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the upcoming birth of his son and the lineage of holy people that would be brought into humanity and bring light to the world as well. I share this story because somewhere I read that, where do we find God? And sure enough, we find God in meditation, within ourselves, alive, always. But God really comes into place by what is described as the face-to-face. How do we face another human being? What do we see in the other's face? Babaji oftentimes talks to us about that. Seeing God in everyone and seeing God in everything. And the welcoming and the generosity and the honoring that we should have for all humans as honored guests in our tent would be the welcoming embrace that a family of humanity united under the one supreme source should welcome each other with. And I've always felt that here, Babaji. I've always felt it in your warm embrace, in Maharaji's warm embrace, and the Sangat's warm embrace. And that in itself is, I think, one of the most admirable and moving and heart-melting things that you have shared with me and melted my heart with. Finally, I would like to bring in another prophet from another tradition in the 400 more or less year after Christ. Well, it was a couple 100 years after Buddha's birth. Buddha announced that another teacher would come, who would bring another teaching that would bring one directly to source. Because again, when we are talking about what is this spirit of unity, and Babaji always, I think, points that to us, it's not so much what we do outside, except for the welcoming embrace and the face-to-face to all other humans. It is the discovering of the divine within that happens in meditation. And in this tradition, this prophet called Garab Dorje, who is meant to have been an avatar, enlightened being born into skin and bone, he taught what's called a direct way, meaning he would help people directly discover that divinity within, which then one would have to cultivate or balance or to a point where one would live from that place without any doubt. And the reason I'm sharing this is because finally I think it all comes, and there's many different religions and there's many different technologies of the spirit. There's many different paths to God, some through the drumming of an African circle, some through a holy book, some through a sacred dance of the sacred tribes of North America. There are so many technologies, but at the bottom, I call it the point in the heart. The most simple that Babaji always helps us to recall and actually awakens within us, as Maharaji would have all of us be moved by the spirit of contagion to truly incarnate these holy beings which we all hope to become, have always been, but have forgotten. And in that spirit of oneness, then how can we separate each other? Babaji just yesterday shared with us that if we see God in everyone and if we see God in everywhere and in everything, how can there be, and he repeated it this morning, how can there be war? How can there be violence? How can we not take care of each other? So in the spirit of oneness, I pray that the spirit of contagion that Babaji keeps the light for all of us well lit may soon melt all of our hearts and humanity rise into this holiness, that may all the saints come marching in.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ My name is Maya. I have born in Russia, in the small of the country of in the middle of the Russia. It's called Tatarstan, in small village. And I couldn't imagine, like I was sitting in the fields of this potatoes fields, what I saw yesterday when Granth Sahib was falling and then raising again. And it's just a miracle for me staying here and being part of such a beautiful family. And I start learning your language, Punjab. It's like 3 days. I know 3 lines of your alphabet, but I will learn it because I love you so much. And why I choose name Maya, my true name is Leisan, which means spring rain. Maya, because Maya Angelou, she is an actress, activist, and poet, and she could better to say what I would like to share with you. And it's only 3 minutes.
If I think of my life as a class and what I've really learned, I've learned a few things. First, I'm aware that I'm a child of God. It's such an amazing understanding to think that the it which made fleas and mountains and rivers and stars made me. What I pray for is humility, to know that there's something greater than I. And I have to know that the brute, the bigot, and the batterer are all children of God, whether they know it or not. And I'm supposed to treat them accordingly. And it's hard, and I blow it all the time. I'd like everybody to think of a statement by Terence. The statement is, I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. If you can internalize at least a portion of that, you will never be able to say of an act, a criminal act, oh, I couldn't do that. No matter how heinous the crime, if a human being did it, we have to say, I have in me all the components that are in her or in him. I intend to use my energies constructively as opposed to destructively. If you can do that about the negative, just think what you can do about the positive. If a human being dreams a great dream, dares to love somebody, if a human being dares to be Martin King or Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa or Malcolm X, if a human being dares to be bigger than the condition into which she or he was born, it means so can you. And so you can try to stretch yourself. So you can internalize homo sum humani nihila mea elum puto. I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. That's one thing I'm learning.
Thank you. Bye.
much.
Yeah. Waheguru Ji Ki Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Speaking first and foremost with permission from our great Creator, with the permission of the 7 directions, with the permission of each and every one of our ancestors who have transcended this dimension, with the permission of our kindest Babaji, and with the permission of each and every one of your open hearts and smiling faces, I speak with deepest humility and gratitude for such a wonderful experience I've had so far on my very first visit to India on such a special occasion of Gurpurab 2022. My name is Kim Chayab, and I identify as a two-spirit person, and my pronouns are they and them. In my native North American or indigenous culture, two-spirit people are those who are born with a balanced spirit or essence of both masculinity and femininity, and traditionally carry forward the tradition of becoming community healers and oral storytellers. As such, I'm an award-winning multidisciplinary artist from Chicago and would like to share with Sangat a short story about Mexico's most celebrated poet, playwright, and nun known as the 10th Muse. Born in 1651, Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz learned how to read at the age of 3 years old. A few years later, while her sister was being taught Latin, she secretly learned that language as well, after only listening to 20 lessons. After years of reading all of the greatest philosophers and writers from her grandfather's library, she found that she was unable to continue her studies unless she was a man. While she thought of disguising herself by dressing as a man, she decided instead to become a nun near the court of the Viceroy and Vice Queen. She eventually was asked to teach the children of the court, but first she was tested by 40 of the wisest men across the land to prove that she was worthy of her position as educator. After answering every single question and gaining the respect of all of the men of the court, years later, she was still eventually persecuted and engaged in a theological debate with a bishop named Manuel Fernández de Santa Cruz. Unfortunately, this bishop eventually commanded that all of her books, writing utensils, musical instruments, and scientific tools be taken from her. After almost a lifetime commitment to seeking knowledge and wisdom through the written word, she was unequivocally distraught and experienced a period of deep depression. Thankfully, she was given the divine assignment of cooking for her fellow convent sisters, or Benjis, and her creativity flourished once again. Just like the period of fall brings the slow death of our planet Earth, our Pachamama, and eventually the deep winter allows for a period of hibernation and inner journeys of meditation, so too did Sor Juana eventually find solace in the nourishment of sacred fruits and vegetables. She eventually wrote a cookbook, and I am reminded by her life story that it's not always in grand, miraculous gestures of healing or in giving your life on a cross in the service of mankind that we are able to express the unity or oneness of our humanity. But more often than not, we are able to express our love through the preparation of our family's food. We are able to express our collective dependence on the sun, the moon, the stars, the water, the earth, the air, and all of the elements within and without through the planting, caretaking, and harvesting of plants. Currently in the North American United States, the task of farming falls predominantly on indigenous communities who are working under the hot sun. They experience being, infiltrated, bombarded with pesticides, with toxic chemicals, and this is the ongoing pattern of human rights abuse that we see all across all countries. And I just came to share that story just to remind us that every time we sit down for a meal is a moment to have a connection, to have a moment of oneness with our meal, to say thank you to our food, to say thank you to the land, to say thank you to the fact that without our ancestors' bodies having been permeated back into the soil, none of these plants would be here. We would not be here without our ancestors' divine sacrifice of their bodies. And I just wanted to be present with you all and possibly take a deep breath in remembrance of all of those who have transcended and in gratitude for all of those new seeds of life that a lot of you are currently nurturing in our world and all of those who are yet to come. So if we could just close our eyes for a moment, take a deep breath together. Inhale. And we exhale. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji di Fateh. La Sokamati. Gracias and thank you.
Waheguru, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Namaste, peace upon you. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be here with you in this holy Sangat. And I had the privilege this year to get to know Papaji in England, Walsall. And when I first heard of him, I was not sure if I should go and see him. But I just listened to a few words of him on YouTube, and I could immediately feel that he knows God and he loves God. So that was the only reason why I'm here, and I'm so grateful for this discovery. And on this wonderful day when we speak about the religions and the saints, the holy paths that lead to God realization, I would like to speak about Paramahansa Yogananda, who is from India. And he is one of the divine lights. He's a Prem avatar who came to the earth only to serve humanity and to show people how they can find God within themselves. And just that you have an idea, probably some of you that are from India know him, but it is really very special that such a wonderful soul like Yogananda, he was already born with an enlightened consciousness, but nonetheless throughout his life he was burning and yearning to find God. And so he found his guru, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, when he was a young boy, and went into the ashram. And he spent there almost 10 years, and what impressed me most was when one day he asked his master, "Master, when will I find God?" And you must imagine he asked that question although he had already samadhi and all these higher states of consciousness. And his master replied to him, "You find God when you love all human beings, when you love his creation." So that is when we go to an ashram or to a monastery or whatever spiritual path we choose. Our learnings, our education only is fulfilled when we succeed not only to love God or to love my family, my neighbors, but it's really to love all humanity. And Yogananda was a wonderful example of this, and he's really a gem, a jewel of India, because after he left the ashram, he founded a boys' school in Ranchi and was very devoted in this, and he thought, well, that will be my life, that's it. But one day he was meditating, and in his meditation he suddenly had a vision, and he saw strange faces, and he thought by himself, wow, that must be Americans, that look like Americans. And intuitively he knew that God would send him to America. And he left the ashram, went to his guru and asked for his blessings. And a few days later, really, he received a letter from America, from the Unitarians who invited him to participate in a congress of religious liberals, and he would be the delegate for the whole of India. So he headed for Boston and gave his first speech in America, and he was really the voice to say God can be found inside of every human being, and there are definite techniques. There is a science, and that science for the modern age is meditation, so that we can really have the perception of God within ourselves. And throughout all the years he spent in America, and you must imagine for him, who was so much in love with his beloved India, and he would have given everything to go just to the Himalayas to meditate on God, but he gave that great sacrifice as God asked him to go to America and bring the knowledge of India to the world. He did it. And he brought it not only as a kind of, this is the only path. The yoga science is really about meditation and union with the Supreme Being, with God. And I first heard about Guru Nanak through Paramahansa Yogananda, because he tells so beautiful stories about Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So I felt very close and familiar. And Yogananda really achieved to bring the consciousness into the world, into the people that are on the spiritual path, that Jesus Christ is a friend. He is sitting beside Krishna, for instance, on the altar of the people that follow the path of the self-realization fellowship. And I found it very impressive. And he really showed by giving commentaries on the Holy Scriptures that all Holy Scriptures tell the same, and they lead to the same goal. And so he really devoted his life for making this visible, that it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christ, if you're Jewish, if you're Hindu, if you're Buddhist, if you're Sikh, if you are whatever religion, all paths lead to the same goal, and that is loving God and loving all human beings, the whole humanity, the whole creation. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon, Miguel, Maya, Kim, and Waya. So beautiful gardens so beautiful flowers of our beloved garden. Miguel from Bolivia, Simon from England, Maya from Lithuania, Kim from America, and Waya from Sweden. Oneness. We must, I keep saying this, stories all are so beautiful and must be told and must be heard, but nothing is going to happen if we do not meditate. No change can happen possibly. The change has to happen here. This story must become worthy of telling. Right? This story. Other stories are so beautiful, but they are examples for us. And we must not live on examples. And we have this path where we are going to have a break for lunch, a short break, and after that there is a short meeting, about half an hour, little more than half an hour, in which we would honor the people who are serving humanity selflessly. And we would be, and as we know that there are 5 thrones from which the Gurus used to send directives to people. And today, 5 chosen ones are going to bless us from another throne. And they would honor those respected personalities who are devoting their lives to serve humanity. And let us depart for a short period with this message of Guru Nanak. He says, Sach tam par janiye jar de sacha hoye. He says unity can only become possible if you become holy, and you become holy if you dwell with holy God. Sach tam par janiye jaride sacha hoye. He says God only be known when God starts dwelling within us in our heart area. Truth can only be known when He starts dwelling within us continuously at the Hanji. Let us focus at our heart area and feel the power, feel the divine power. If we are fully present there to feel Him, He will reveal Himself. Sach tam par जानिए जार दे सच्चा होए सच्चता पर जानिए जार दे सच्चा होए जार दे सच्चता पर जानिए जार दे सच्चा जी खाली नहीं कर प्लीज तुसी ध्यान लाना सच्चता पर जानिए जार दे सच्चा होए सच्चता पर जानिए जार दे सच्चा होए सच्चता पर जानिए जार सच्चता सच्चता पर सच्चता सच्चता पर जानिए जानिए जान हृदय सच्चा होए सच्चता पर जानिए जान सच्चता पर सच्चता now let us stretch our legs and have something to eat, and we'll meet again in about half an hour, 35 minutes back. Thank you all for telling the beautiful stories. Thank you. Okay. सच्चता पर जानिए